we have got to understand, Kristen, and this is something I feel very strongly about, and it's not talked about enough. We are moving rapidly into an oligarchic form of society. Never before in American history have so few billionaires, so few people had so much wealth and so much power. Never before has there been so much concentration of ownership, sector after sector, power of Wall Street, and never before in American history, and we better talk about this, have the people on top had so much political power. We can't go around the world saying, oh, well, in Russia, Putin has an oligarchy. Well, we got an oligarchy here too. And in this last election, in both parties, billionaires spent huge amounts of money to elect their candidates. Here in the state of Vermont, we believe we have town meetings, one person, one vote. That's democracy, not billionaires buying elections. Those are the issues we got to focus on. We got to rebuild the middle class. 60% of our people.
Okay, so obviously, you go watch his extended comments. I didn't intend to.
How dare you cut off Bernie Sanders?
That's where Bernie Sanders ended the video when he posted on Twitter. But regardless, I'm begging everyone to listen to Bernie Sanders. I've also been begging everyone to do that for a very long time. It always feels weird that we like keep marching down this dark road. We see the cliff ahead, and the entire time Bernie Sanders has been on the side of the road being like, hey, there's a cliff there. There's a cliff there. There's a cliff there. It's like with the climate crisis, we've had all the science we needed for literally decades. I feel like we are blessed to have climate scientists and Bernie Sanders and doomed to ignore them to our utter peril. But he's 100% right. I think we've been taking steps towards oligarchy for a long time. Arguably, we've been there for some time. But he focused on a stat. He talked about this on Friday on Twitter. In 2024, 150 billionaire families spent nearly $2 billion to purchase candidates. $2 billion they flooded. Do you think that we have free speech in comparison to the $2 billion mountain of their speech and influence? And what do you know? Coming out of the billionaires buying the election for Trump, he's giving quite a bit of access and power to them. His administration has brought in billionaires to serve that are worth $383 billion. And I believe that's not including Elon Musk. That's the other billionaires that are serving with him. That's a number higher than the GDP of almost every nation on earth. And it seems to be sort of by design. Back in just 2021, JD Vance said that the right, quote, has very few oligarchs on our side. He was lamenting that. He added, I don't just mean rich people, I mean people who are smart about deploying their resources in a way that advances the cause. And they've advanced the cause. The cause is not your cause, whether you're conservative or liberal, it is their cause. And because of that, they are getting a return. Elon Musk is $200 billion richer this year than he was. So we focus on the $277 million that he spent to get Trump and other candidates elected. That is a rounding error on his wealth. And much of that advance has happened since the election. I'm gonna show you a chart going back to the beginning of this year, and it's the stock price of Tesla. And just for fun, we've marked on it the day of the election, and you'll notice something happen. Apparently, Tesla's cars got better and more appealing, and all of the stuff that should reasonably, logically make a stock go up, right? Suddenly, the stock is worth far more than it was for totally legitimate reasons. Nothing corrupt, no belief that now that his candidate has won, he's gonna be handed tons of money and contracts by the government, and all of the regulations and investigation that might unveil that the self-driving technology is killing a bunch of people and they've known about it for a long time. That's gonna suddenly be swept under the rug. Obviously, there's a lot of sarcasm here. They know that he's going to be paid off by the government and they wanna get in now. That's why the stock price is rising. And he's just one of the billionaires, Francesca. There's a lot of them that the government is now going to be, even more than ever before, directly working to the benefit of.
And I don't know if I just don't, I'm sorry, I keep on repeating this. It's just something that really sticks in my craw, but more tax breaks are coming for these billionaires. And that's in part why they're investing so heavily in Trump. To say nothing of the fact that they want zero regulation when they AI us all to death, and Amazon tries to completely replace its workforce with robots, which they are looking to do. But the tax breaks, included things like being able to write off your private jet, which they're like $60 million a pop. You could write that off. You could get a free jet or basically, yeah, that's a $60 million write-off to have a private jet that contributes to massive carbon emissions, that whisks you from one fancy celebration of a vigilante murderer to another, to back to Mar-a-Lago. I mean, like, if that doesn't make your skin crawl and makes you want to grab your pitchfork, I don't know what else will. And those tax breaks that Trump passed, the biggest tax breaks in American history, they expire, I believe, at the end of 2026 or so, at 27. So he's just gonna, we're just gonna renew. And that's our money, right?
Yeah.
So no, man, I mean, we have to start thinking of it as an oligarchy, but to me, I feel like it doesn't go far enough. I do feel like, as we look at Elon's Tesla, as we look at the different ways that, Bezos or Zuckerberg are trying to cozy up to Trump, it's not so much about like, has industry won, right? Have the bosses won? Have the elites won? They've won. They've been winning, right? It's really about which elites. So to me, it really is more about a kleptocracy. It is more about oligarchy implies, okay, it's just ruled by the rich, but kleptocracy to me is about the amount of corruption that is involved in that oligarchy. So it really does mirror something like Putin's Russia, where it's just friends and business associates of Putin himself. Now, by virtue of the fact that all of his friends are also wealthy and, billionaires or millionaires, like, it's sort of one and the same, but it's like, okay, but I'm gonna choose, like Sergey over, insert Sergey too. I don't know. Dmitry, thank you. There we go. My Russian names are coming to me. You know what I mean? Like that's what we're at. It's like, I'm gonna go with Elon over Bezos in this one instance. Oh, sorry, Blue Origin. It's all about SpaceX.
You're totally right that they're not the same thing. I think that there's a convergence that naturally happens faster or slower, but I do agree. I do also think, look, while I appreciate Bernie using this language, and I think this language spreads further than some would have you believe. I also think that terms like plutocracy and oligarchy are somewhat, I don't know, they kind of push some people out of the conversation.
Yes.
So I don't know what terminology we want to use for what we're experiencing. I've recently been talking
1%.
about it as being like they talk about the deep state. It's their fictional construct that puts the focus on exactly the wrong thing. I've been referencing the machine behind all this, and I think that it's a particularly apt metaphor, especially because of the massive infusion into this movement now of tech billionaires that want to replace every one of you with a robot or with AI. And so the machinery of oligarchy, I think, is what is behind Donald Trump. And I hope that we choose the right candidate to go up against it. In the next few years. I was watching an interview on Spectrum this weekend of Gavin Newsom, and he is 100% sure that it's gonna be him. And I'm worried about that. But anyway.
Me too. He's gonna lose. He's gonna lose.
Well, we're gonna see.
If there even is an election.
AOC, come on the show. Let's start talking. Let's have a 4-year conversation.
Chris Murphy's trying to put himself in there.
That's fine. That's fine. I prefer him to Gavin Newsom. But anyway, AOC, come on the show. Let's talk. Members make a difference here at TYT. You help make the show happen, and we see you in the chat with your loyalty badge. Click the join button to become a member today.